Now I know what you're thinking, this is the second sequel you've done without reviewing the original. Why do another sequel review? Well then, just for that, Happy Death Day, the first one, is worth seeing at least once in theaters. Alright, let's dig into this.
All my fancy things.
What the
My crib, my car, my clothes, my
Alright, let's see what you got.
came up and I ain't came.
Hello there everybody, it's me, the Canadian Movie Buff, with a review of Happy Death Day to You. Promise I'll never sing the intro again. So Tree wakes up on her birthday yet again, but quickly discovers that she's fallen into a new timeline. With the same tactic as before, she now must die over and over again to figure out the solution and eventually find the killer before it's too late. Now she must die over and over again in order to help find the solution that will send her back to the original timeline, while also finding out the identity of a new killer that is now on the loose. Blumhouse tends to have a bit of a bad habit of greenlighting almost everything that comes their way, and it always manages to make enough money to warrant a sequel. While Happy Death Day to You is one of the better horror sequels out there, it's also a mashup of ideas that the filmmakers definitely had and want to explore, but it doesn't really work within the confines of a slasher black comedy film. Every horror or horror comedy movie needs a good lead, someone to really root for, otherwise you'll have the audience cheering for their misery or their death. That was the premise of the first movie, with Tree becoming more and more likable as the film went on. And if there's one consistent thing that stayed throughout both movies, it's Jessica Rothe's performance. I thought the unlikable character becomes unlikable was a bit of a generic plot point, so to have the movie start with her being likable and very well knowing was a better way to kick things off. She had a commanding presence without being cocky. Roth really knows which direction a scene needs to go, and in a movie that goes as back and forth between genres and tones as this movie does, having Roth in the center makes for a really good, strong tentpole in the ground. And if Warner Brothers needs someone to be the superhero to Henry Cavill's Superman, I'm just saying. Another thing that this horror movie does is it has very few jump scares. The movie does what any good horror movie does, which is a reliance on long tracking shots and an overwhelming sense of tension. When the killer does come out to strike, it's usually when the characters can't see him, but we, the audience, can. Instead of a loud dong dong whenever he pops up on screen, the music slowly dials it up with the violin strings tensing and making you dread, oh, is they going to turn around, look out behind you, they're going to kill him! Now for the parts where it's an actual horror movie, it is a very good horror movie. And while there is a lot more comedy this time around, it kind of makes you forget that this is a movie about someone being haunted by a psycho killer. I get it, they want to twist it up. I mean, this sentence alone could be used to describe the plot of over a dozen horror movies. But what it does is kind of lean into the science fiction time travel stuff, which is an interesting concept. Like, it explains why she kept reliving the same day over and over again. But when you start messing around with time travel and science fiction in a movie that is relatively grounded, it kind of looks like jumping the shark. And like I said, this movie changes from genres to tones all the time, and the transitions from one to the next isn't always the smoothest. For example, you get a montage of scenes that are meant to be very comedic, then it'll slip into science fiction right before going, oh, this is a slasher movie, we gotta have a creepy scene with the killer stalking her. Looking at the box office tallies of this movie, the Lego Movie 2, and How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, it's clear that February is not the month to release sequels. It is, or is after the second one, don't release it in the second month. As for Happy Death Day to You, it has a lot that I think fans of the original will enjoy, but personally I felt it was a little bit all over the place for me to get a full grasp on it. And looking at the way this movie ends, I think a third entry would be overstaying its welcome. I do recommend checking it out, but save it for the cheap seats. Alright, that's my review of Happy Death Day to You. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Leave your answer by commenting down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you're new here. And as always, this is the Canadian Movie Buff saying, I hope you had a fantastic weekend at the movies. See ya!